Hello everybody, how are we doing today? Everybody hear me okay? Sounds good, looks good, feels good? We will be getting started here in just a minute. Our players have been going through their games. Alright, we're having, let's see. We're getting our first match set up here in just a minute. Hopefully you all had fun with some of the Vermintide stuff earlier today. I know I had a damn ball with it. Are red-crested skinks Lizardmen slayers? No. Red-crested skinks, you can think of them better as like just aggressive skinks. But they're not suicidal crazy ones. Alright, Leek, you're in I'm pretty sure you're in chat. We're gonna give Penguin a little bit to show up. So we're gonna go ahead and hop to a different matchup. We're gonna start with Alric Rawl and Human Boy. Cool. So we are ready to go into our first game here in just a hot second. Hope you're all looking forward to it. As I said last time, we're going to be hitting these tournaments about once every 2 weeks. For those unaware, this is, for anyone that's new around here, this is my Sotek, the Sotek Tabletop Tournament. Which the reason I call it that is because the rules for this tournament are actually derived, you could say, from playing Warhammer Fantasy Tabletop back in the day. So that's kind of where the name comes from. And basically the way it works is that you have to submit your entire list before the tournament starts. And you don't know what maps you're going to play on, you don't know what army your opponent's going to have, you don't know what list they're bringing. And you have to play that list through the entire tournament. So you have to try and design your list to deal with all possible opponents. Looks like we may be having a little bit of a... That's fine. Y'all can go second. Okay, there's Leek. Now we just need... Penguin. Ah, gotcha. Wait, no, Leek, get out of here. Oh, I'm gonna remake the lobby real quick. There we go. Do I think Nagash will be a faction in Warhammer 3 or just a lord? If they do Nagash, I feel pretty certain that Nagash is probably going to be a standalone faction or race. Okay, Human Boy's in, and Blood Power's on his way. Or Blood Penguin, sorry, not Blood Power. Yeah, I think Nagash is probably going to get like a unique race, being Undead Legions would be my guess. Alright, so for today's first matchup, we've got RTK's Human Boy Yes Yes leading his nefarious Skaven against Blood Penguin's Warriors of Chaos. So when both players are ready, we can get into it. Awesome. Oh, nope, we lost Blood Penguin again. Hopefully we're not having server issues. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Gosh darn it. My brain is like all over the place. Where is Alric? Where are you at? Yeah, Blood Penguin, you're not in this match. Yeah. Oh, actually, you're going second. Okay, so we're waiting for Alric. I'm just... my brain. Okay, so we're waiting for Alric to get in here, hopefully in just a second. And then we'll be good to go. We'll be good to go from there. Those two guys still haven't finished their game? Let me check in on them real quick. Oh no, they just finished. Okay, cool. Okay, there he is, I assume. Yeah. Alright, great. So, we got Skaven versus Bretonnia. Let's hop right into it. Hope y'all are ready for some games. What are all the factions in AOS that we know about, but they're not playable yet? Grotbag Scuttlers, which are like flying, mechanically focused goblins. Gitmob Grots, which are classic goblins. There's very, very heavy rumors that there is a classic Orcs faction coming with like chariots and war machines and stuff. Who else is out there? The Karnathi, which are aligned with the Sylvaneth, but we don't know if they're going to be their own faction or not. The Silent People, which are like an insectoid race. There's a Golem race somewhere. But anyway, so from there, let's get into the matchup. So over here with RTK Human Boy, we've got 3 units of Skaven Slaves with Spears, 1 regular unit. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of Clan Rats with Spears, 1 regular Clan Rats with Shields. We've got the Council Guard bringing in all sorts of lovely defenses. 2 units of Poison Wind Globadiers. 1 unit of Jezzails. And then we've got the Teeth Breakers, which are the Rattling Gun ROR. Oh no, there is a 2nd unit of Jezzail. So there are 2 units of Jezzails. And then we got Ikid Zap Zap being the primary artillery behind this army. And leading it, we've got Lord Skrulk himself running all of his items, Liber Bubonicus and the Rod of Corruption. He's got Stand Your Ground, Vermintide, Pestilent Breath, Aura of Pestilence, and Plague Rash. He's running a lot of goodies and abilities. Not going pure summon, though. He's actually just got Vermintide and is backing up with Pestilent Breath. We've also got a Warlock Engineer here who is the anti-flyer, but does have Warpstone Armor for some combat goodness. And then there is an Assassin who is running Slippery, the Rival High Talisman, and the Assassin's Trophy. So he's got pretty much all of his abilities. And will be able to be a nice thorn in the side. Go when ready. Wait. Oh, yeah. And then over here, on the side of Alric, or Abarash in here, we've got 3 units of Knights, 2 of which are Knights of the Realm, 1 of which are Questing Knights. We've got a front line of peasant mob, 5 of them. Over here, leading the army, is none other than the Fey Enchantress herself, running Dwellers Below. She's got the Chalice of Potions, as well as Earthblood. She's also got Miss of the Lady and Blessing of the Lady. Arcane Conduit on her as well for some of that additional magic. We've got 2 Paladins that are naked, but they are running on Pegasi, so they are quite maneuverable, though they will need to watch out for that Howling Warp Gale. Over here, we have another 2 Knights of the Realm, one of which is the ROR, the Knights of the Lionhearted, and we've got another unit of Questing Knights, bumping them up to 2. And then, last but not least, we've got 5 units of Peasant Bowman Archers, 3 of which have Poisonous Pox Arrows. So, the battle is underway, and it looks like we're starting off with the Jezzails firing some long-range shots into these Paladins. One of them actually does take a hefty amount of damage. Oh, a devastating volley coming in from Ikit Zap Zap, killing 8 of the Knights of the Lionhearted with a single volley, which is just devastating. It looks like it was actually only 1 or 2 missiles. Next, we've got the Teeth Rattlers. Oh god, being reinforced by Ikit Zap Zap. Knights of the Lionhearted are just getting absolutely devastated by this vastly overwhelming series of firepower. Over here, we see that the Warlock Engineer does catch out both of the Paladins with Howling Warp Gale, and the Teeth Rattlers are turning their attention to them, and they are going to be able to get off a healthy amount of shots, and it's an overcast version, so it has an extended cast time, and oh, sweet goodness, those Knights are going to take so much damage. Oh my good gosh. We've got this one already down to below half health. Thankfully, he seems to be absorbing all of the damage for his compatriot here. So this Paladin is, yeah, he's done. He's got Liber Bubonicus on him and he is dead. However, the Bretonnians now are among the Skaven. They have charged in. The Knights of the Lionhearted managed to rally and come in. We've got Peasant Archers shooting in from all sides. The Ikit Zap Zap is trying to get off some shots, bring down some more Knights, but there are Knights just everywhere. There's so many Knights, and we can already see here that the Skaven front line is completely collapsed on the right flank. Lord Skrolk is trying to use his abilities to deal a lot of damage to the Bretonnians and hold them back. The Fey Enchantress has run into Ikit Zap Zap to deal some good damage there. The Council Guard gets hit with a beautiful cast of Dwellers Below and even gets lured into going through it to follow some Knights. They do narrowly manage to avoid getting hit by a comet, but they're at already below 50% health. And honestly, the Skaven got a really nice catch out early, but things are looking really rough for the rats at this point. The Vermin only have like 2 decent melee units. And then they've got like Lord Skrolk and an Assassin. However, things are looking really dicey for Bretonnia over here. The Questing Knights have been shot off again. We've got the Assassin, Lord Skrolk, just the whole gang over here looking to pick off kills where they can. The Fey Enchantress did manage to avoid them. I was looking for her a moment ago. The balance of power, though, is pretty heavily in favor of the Skaven, or the Bretonnians right now. And they just have a massive amount of shooting that is just completely uncontested right now, coming in on all these Jezzails and Clan Rats. The Bretonnians have finished mopping up this far side of the battlefield, and things are looking a little dicey. The Fey Enchantress is still completely at full health, and she is generating more and more winds of magic. Hello, thanks for the tip. I'll check that out after the battle. The archers are doing their best to fire in and clear out some more vermin, but it looks like the Bretonnian front line is pretty much gone. There is one full health unit of peasant mob over here that could rally back into the battle. There's another one over here that could be helping out. These peasant mobs need to get into the battle and stop this massive blob from catching all the archers and finishing them off. However, there is quite a significant Bretonnian Death Star going on over here. There's one pretty much very near to full health unit of Questing Knights, and then a lot of wounded units that are just making sure to chase off a few last Clan Rats. But the Skaven are rallying across the battlefield, coming in to do damage where they can. We do see that there is still a Paladin in very good health who lands among the Jezzails and is dealing some just devastating damage to them. But he is getting now surrounded by a whole bunch of Clan Rats with spears, but he does have 85 armor, and his melee defense will see him through a little bit. He's trying to get out now. Peasant mobs are coming in for that rear charge. And if these were like Storm Vermin, or like had chevrons or even just a character next to them to help them defend, these guys might be able to hold out against this pressure, but the peasant mob alone is pretty much breaking their morale, and now there's like about to be a mass night charge. Back here, we do see the Bretonnian range troops are just running away, which is the smart thing to do at this point. The Fey Enchantress is running in alongside this Paladin to shut down Ig and Zap Zap. Here comes the cavalry charge, which is going to get rid of both these clan rats and Ig and Zap Zap, shutting off all the artillery that the Skaven have, which only leaves a couple of units around the battlefield. We do see that there are units of Bretonnians that are wavering in various places. Some Poison Wind Globadiers dealing some really good damage to the Knight of the Realm. That'll get them off the battlefield as close as they are to the edge. We have an assassin chasing some bowmen here. We've got the Council Guard trying to chase these bowmen, but now they're getting crossfired by poisonous arrows, which is going to deal damage and most importantly slow them down, so they're not going to be able to close this gap. The Skaven are doing their best to chase down all these archers, but they just don't have a lot of tools to do it. Unfortunately, Lord Skrolk only has, he has Vermintide, sorry, not Pestilent Birth. But he has Pestilent Breath instead of Pestilent Birth, which honestly he probably could use the other one to summon some more elite melee units onto the battlefield right now. That being said, the balance of power is still slightly in favor of the Bretonnians. These Giselles have rallied and are getting some lovely pot shots over here into the Knights of the Realm. This Paladin is still in very, very good health, and honestly, the only thing left on the battlefield that could contest this Paladin is the Assassin, who is really, really out of position, trying to deal with some archers. Paladin gets down in here among the Globadiers who are reinforcing these peasant mobs, and that will be enough to get these Globadiers out of the fight. Over here we see Giselles being chased by the peasant mob, who will be able to catch and wipe them out, and I really just don't see a way that the Skaven could pull this back into their favor. Like, they've got little pockets of resistance, but they really don't have any meaningful melee troops. And there's still an extremely healthy unit of questing knights. There's still plenty of other knights that can help reinforce them and bring the battle back. And there's still at least 2 units of very, very healthy peasant archers who are going to be able to do just a ton of damage. The Council Guard is down to 36 guys, but more than that, they have like virtually no health per model. 580 health split across 36 guys is not a lot. Over here, we do see that the Bretonnians are essentially just kind of picking off the last few stragglers. The Skaven do seem to be consolidating their forces, just trying to get some last-second stragglers for the Bretonnian lines off the battlefield. The Bretonnians are doing much the same thing, making sure to actually chase units off and be sure that they're not coming back anymore, because both sides had a whole lot of people just running away and rallying constantly all over the place. But I think the Vermintide is going to have a very hard time just dealing with the massed, unwashed hordes of peasants that still lurk around the battlefield. I mean, they are consolidating, which is nice, but I'm not sure how many Vermintides Skrolk has used so far. If he's got a couple of casts left, he might be able to do something with it, but I just really don't think there's any chance he honestly has of turning this around. I do believe he still has 1 Liber Bubonicus left, but the problem with the Liber Bubonicus is that he can't really even use it to try and, say, assassinate the Fey Enchantress, because the Fey Enchantress is one of the most magically resistant heroes in the game. I mean, she's got 60% magic resistance that she's clocking in, which is just... I mean, that is a just impressive amount of magic resistance. The Liber Bubonicus, I mean, it'll hurt her, but for the most part, it's just going to bounce. Here we do see the Skaven have redressed their lines, and you can see this. I mean, these are just basic peasant archers with like, oh, they've got poisoned arrows and regular arrows, but they're still dropping the Council Guard like a sack of hammers just because they're so damaged at this point. They don't have shields, so they've got no missile resistance going for them, and they're just taking a ton of damage. And all of the crossfire coming in from the peasants is just going to absolutely devastate the Skaven infantry. We do see that the Assassin has rejoined the rest of the Skaven army, and it looks like they're going to be trying to go for the Fey Enchantress. They are slightly reorganizing. The Assassin has popped concealment bombs and is probably looking to get on the Fey Enchantress. I'm going to give the Skaven player just a couple seconds here, but he does need to attack, like, somewhere. He can't be just completely falling back. So I'm just going to say, Skaven, be sure to be attacking somewhere. But his lines have redressed at this point. He is going to need to commit to a fight. Like, there's not a whole lot he can do, and he's frankly running out of space to run. And the longer he takes, honestly, the more of a surround they're going to get on him. Here we do see that the Fey Enchantress does sort of commit to a fight. She's going to get some nice drain damage on the Skaven, and I'm curious how much magic she has left. We do see that she is calling down a comet. The assassin is trying to go in on her. He will be able to absolutely wreck her, though she does debuff his attack. Of course, she does peace out. Comet gets a decent hit, and the mass cavalry charge comes in, and that is 100% going to be game. I mean, there's still a practically full health paladin lurking around, tons of archers. Skrulk does actually get off a pretty nice Rod of Corruption that deals some pretty half-decent damage, but in comes another big, juicy charge. The archers still have tons and tons of ammo, and they're firing in. Oh, we do get a summon from the Skaven, so that's nice. But the Fey Enchantress, as long as she's in this fight, she's going to be lowering the melee attack and draining all of these rats. Holy cow, that assassin, pops Assassin's Trophy on the Paladin and just rips him a new butt. Like, he is getting absolutely torn to shreds. I mean, the Skaven, they did put up like a nice little counter there. Yeah, that Paladin is probably not coming back. But, like, that was a really nice summon, but at the end of the day, it's still only a summon, and these guys are only going to be up for a couple more seconds before they degenerate. The Bretonnians are still technically attacking because they have plenty of shooting attacks left, so they are doing just fine. They're going to be able to just patiently wait for these guys to finish degenerating. We're getting just a tiny bit of lag. That's not a huge deal. I mean, if the battle ended at this point, I think it would be pretty clear the Bretonnians have it. We do see the archer redress their ranks a little bit, and these guys are going to go down in just a few seconds. We hear a Plague Breath that actually deals some really nice damage to those archers. It wasn't a perfect cast, but it was as close as it could be. We see another summoned unit comes up. Skrulk is really milking it for all it's worth. I mean, he's not completely out of the running. If he can keep summons coming out of the ground at ideal moments and getting catches, maybe if the assassin's lucky, it could get the Fey Enchantress and kill her, which would cause the Bretonnian army to shatter. Because, I mean, their leadership is super duper fragile without the Fey Enchantress, but she is constantly getting more magic. The Skaven are chasing down targets. We do see that the Paladin is gone. That Assassin's Trophy did get used very, very efficiently. Is Assassin's Trophy a... No, it's not a one-use only, so there is another Assassin's Trophy up and ready to go. So the Bretonnian Knights, they need to get rid of that Assassin. Here we got another summon coming up. My god, Skrulk is getting just all of the mileage out of those summons. We see that another unit of Peasant Mob has been shattered due to the overwhelming nastiness in that particular little pocket. There are still archers that are doing their best to fire in and deal damage to the assassin. He is at about half health, but I mean, this is kind of a spooky situation. I mean, the assassin is taking damage, but he's also doing his best to juke and avoid getting torn apart. The Bretonnians do still have some shooting left, so they do still count as attacking, even though they're kind of wibbling wobbling around here, doing their best to deal as much damage and avoid a confrontation with that assassin. As soon as they run out of ammo, though, they're going to start to having to actually commit to the battle. And he's only got about 6 volleys left. So we do see some more shots coming in. Skrulk is avoiding a lot of that attention. I mean, the Warlock Engineer is getting hit, but he's got a little bit more armor. He can kind of take a little bit of punishment. We do see the Skaven Assassin pops Concealment Bomb, so he is currently invisible, and it's not really possible to shoot him. The Fey Enchantress is trying to look for a pocket, and the Assassin is waiting for her to commit. Here she commits. The Assassin goes in. He does pop Assassin's Trophy on her. The Fey Enchantress is in trouble. She needs to get the hell out of dodge. We do see that she is trying to run around, find a place. She is, of course, debuffing the enemy. Skaven leadership, though, is teetering on the brink. If that assassin breaks, there is just no coming back. We do see the Knights commit overall. They're committing from every angle. The Warlock Engineer breaks. The Assassin breaks. Skulk breaks. And that is... Oh, no. Skulk is still fighting. He's fighting to the bitter end. We do see that Assassin has broken. The Warlock Engineer has broken. They are being chased. Skrolk is the only thing left, but unfortunately he deals magic damage, so he's just gonna bounce off the Fey Enchantress. Like, he does not have the ability to deal with it. But this game actually got super close there at the end. I thought for sure Bretonnia had it in the pocket, like, no problem. But Skrolk kind of came in, Skrolk just kept getting more and more and more and more summons. And look at him just sitting on 5 leadership like an absolute boss. And then he goes down to 114, and that is game. Thanks for the hydrate. Great game. That was an excellent game. Gotta hand it to Human Boy, well representing the RTK clan. I thought for sure that he was like super doomed after a lot of his ranged units just kind of got torn apart. But he kind of came back with a couple of, like, just right hooks near the end there. He was really making efficient use of those summons. The Assassin just obliterated that Paladin in just a couple of hits thanks to Assassin's Trophy. And all of a sudden it was like, whoa. If the Fey Enchantress had gotten caught out by the Assassin and killed, I have no doubt that the Bretonnian army would have collapsed. Thank you, Kiro. Real quick, just to look at the damage values at the end of the game. Skrolk came out with almost 1,700 golden value. That's awesome for him. Of course, he got 2 really solid Liber Bubonicus's on both of the Paladins, getting them out of there, and got a lot of really good summons. The Assassin got, I think, more than about his money's worth, because he was pretty kitted out. But considering he just totally wiped out one of the Paladins almost instantly, and he also chased off a number of archers. That does not surprise me at all. Skaven slaves and clan rats did their jobs. Looks like a couple of the spears actually got some decent value, likely from catching some of the knights. The Council Guard, the Council Guard got absolutely nuked. I think maybe they were able to do a little bit of damage mitigation, but that Dwellers Below just destroyed them. And Dwellers Below is such a good spell. Both of the Poison Wind Globadiers got some really nice value. This one almost made their money worth. This one got 1,200. They got some great damage in. Jezzails, you can tell which one of them got a lot of sweet shots on a Paladin. Rattling Guns got some really good value. Ikid Sapsep didn't quite perform as much as it needed to. The Fey Enchantress coming in with 1,800 golden value does not surprise me. She had she had 1 really solid Dwellers Below, a lot of really good heals. She had 1 really good Comet as well. Both of the Paladins struggled to get their value, but they both kind of got sniped out pretty quick. Peasants, of course, did their job. They were just there to get shot. All the Peasant Archers got almost all the Peasant Archers got about 500 golden value, which is solid for them. And the Knights were 900, 1,530 on this unit of Knights of the Realm. 485, 669, 783, and 503. So the Fey Enchantress and Skrolk both performed admirably. And then this unit of Knight of the Realms, far and away, got the juiciest kills. So MVP, I'd say, have to go to the Fey Enchantress. But great game to both those players. Alright, so next up, we've got Count Leek versus Blood Penguin. But that was a great first game. Great first game. And then let's go to change the map. We're gonna go to let's go to Liangwell. Liangwell's a great map. All right. Nope. Whenever y'all are ready. So we've got Chaos, the Warriors of Chaos versus the Lizardmen. And Kiro thanks... Dude, Kiro! 12 months of being a sub. That is just so awesome. Well, happy anniversary, Kiro. Thanks for the year of support. Thank you so much, Kiro. I deeply appreciate that. That's awesome. Oh, look, you've got the sexy token on Twitch. In AOS, do I think there's any chance 3rd edition will bring back classic Warhammer characters? Nah, probably not, Vernon. Like, there will probably be more classic Warhammer characters coming back in 3rd edition, but I wouldn't expect too many of, like, the super big ones, like Vlad or Cetra, because those characters would probably be better served coming back with the return of Warhammer Fantasy. Yeah, that's awesome, Kiro. A year. My goodness. Alright, so both players are loading in now. We'll go over the lists, and then it's go time. So let's start with the Warriors of Chaos, led into battle by Blood Penguin. Speaking of bloody birds, he is led by Sarthoril the Everwatcher, who's running Searing Doom, Plague of Rust, Final Transmutation. He's got that good old Standard Die and Arcane Conduit. Sarthoril, of course, is a very, very solid lord. I always get like a twinge in my neck that there's a Demon of Chaos in the Warriors of Chaos army, but, you know, whatever. Oh, Darius, I saw your super chat yesterday that I missed. I'm so sorry about that, dude. Thanks for today's. And Kiro Darius from YouTube chat says hello. He said to please say hi to you. He paid for that. So for the rest of the Chaos army, we've got, looks like 2 units of Chaos Marauders. We've got a unit of Gorebeast Chariots. I love Gorebeast Chariots. Such an underutilized monster from the Chaos roster. I kind of wish they had done more with them. Big, like, angry ape things. We've also got, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Marauder Horse Masters? Yeah, 4 units of Marauder Horse Masters. 2 units of Chaos Warhounds with Poison. We've got 2 units of Chaos Warriors. 2 units of Chaos Warriors with Halberds. And last but not least, the Mirror Guard. Then over on the Lizardmen side, we've got Tic-Tac-Toe! So Count Leek is coming in with the Tic-Tac-Toe play. Very bold. He is very cheap. And you can see here, he's basically stripped down to absolutely nothing. He is running absolute bare bones. Just probably the cheapest lord he could get. He does have his drop sphere, and that is it. Then we've got just a massive army with so many skinks. Looks like we've got 1, 2, 3 units of Chameleon Skinks. 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Javelin. No, it's 5 units. Oh my god, there's so many Chameleon Skinks. 5 freaking units of Chameleon Skinks. A Stegodon with a Bolt Thrower, a Bastildon with a Solar Engine, 4 units of Javelin Skinks, looks like 3 units of Red-Crested Skinks, and we've also got a Skink Priest of Beast with Flock of Doom and the Manticore summon, and a Skink Chief on foot. And then the cohort of Sotek making up the... This is a very, very shooty skink list. This is one of the shootiest skink lists I've ever seen. That is an obscene amount of skink shooting. This is like... Yeah, this is like a Southlands list from people who would play Lizardmen tabletop back in the day, where you would just take like a legions of skinks with short bows. This is actually very close to like modern day Seraphon, which are Age of Sigmar Lizardmen list, where you just take like a hysterical amount of shooting. Sir Zernoff, good to see you, my dude. Short bows? Yeah, there were well, essentially there used to be skinks with poisonous short bows in 6th edition. It was as overpowered as it sounds. Alright, so already we see that the Lizardman army is unleashing just obscene amount of damage right out the gate. Already they've dropped about 9 Marauder Horsemasters between the 2 units. We see the Chaos Warhounds with Poison are going after these Chameleon Skinks with everything they have. If they can wipe out this unit really fast, that would be a huge catch for them. Over here, we do see that the Chaos Hounds are doing a similar thing, trying to catch out one of those units of Chameleon Skinks. The Bastiladon does run forward and does chase them off for a while. A beautiful hit from that Bastiladon. What the hell? My Bastiladons are never that accurate. That was like a laser scope. We see these Skink cohorts with Javelins have sacrificed themselves for the greater good, for the great plan, because they are going to get absolutely munched. The Gorby's Chariot, though, doesn't actually get a very good connect, and it does get sniped by the laser, which does a pretty significant amount of damage to it. I mean, it is taking some hits and it's blinded, so it's not going to be able to fight super effectively, but those Chaos Warhounds will easily finish off those Skinks. Meanwhile, across the battlefield, we do see Warriors of Chaos and Marauders committing to the battle in the forest. Here we've got Red-Crested Skinks going up against Chaos Warriors. The Red-Crested Skinks will actually do really, really well in that engagement, thanks to their poison and great weapons. Mirror Guard are going in on some regular Skink cohorts. That's going to be a massacre in favor of them. The Chaos Warriors with Halberds, who are probably going to be the most difficult challenge for the Lizardmen to deal with, have now committed into the battlefield. They do manage to save the Gorby's Chariot, and Sartorial tries to charge the Stegodon, gets told no. He just gets absolutely sniped. That being said, he does get back onto the Stegodon's booty, trying to do damage where he can. Across the battlefield, we can see that the Skink front line is struggling in a lot of places. However, this unit of Chaos Warriors that got charged by this unit of Skinks is having a really bad time. They are getting absolutely crunched by all of these Red-Crested Skinks and their poison damage. I don't think those Chaos Warriors are going to be holding out much longer, so that far flank is going hand and foot to the Lizardmen. Meanwhile, we do see that the Horsemasters have committed in a skirmish duel with the Bastiladon, who had an Overcast Plague of Rust cast on him, knocking his armor down to 80. So he's actually taking a pretty significant amount of damage from all these shooting attacks compared to what he would. However, he is still being guarded by that 15% missile resistance, and oh my god, just doing a hilarious amount of damage with some really, really good shots. The balance of power has swung significantly into the favor of the Lizardmen. We see Sartorial, despite the pretty considerable amount of missile resistance he has, he's at 50% missile resistance, but he's still taking a lot of damage between the duel he had with the Stegodon and just the sheer number of Chameleon Skinks. Those Chameleon Skinks are not having it. They are pulling an Oxyodal, and they are going to absolutely pincushion that chicken. Meanwhile, we do see that the Gorby's Chariot is very, very close to breaking. It's probably not having a good time fighting against that Stegodon, especially because it could be subject to terror any minute now. Over here, the Bastiladon is back up at a healthy amount of armor, and another Manticore is coming out on the battlefield, which every Manticore is going to push the balance of power further and further in the favor of the Lizardmen. Here we do see that the Red-Crested Skinks are chasing down the Mirror Guard, and because the Mirror Guard have their backs to them, their melee defense is only at a quarter of what it should be, and they are getting absolutely torn to pieces. The laser beams and the bolt thrower are continuing to just do obscene amounts of damage across the battlefield. Sartorial is already kind of on his last leg. There are Manticores flying around causing terror and dealing lots and lots of damage. Tic-Tac-Toe is having a great time with his only 3 kills, just flying around, being a leadership buff. And here we see that it looks like army losses are coming in for the Warriors of Chaos. They completely shatter, fall apart, and that is game. So, just a brutal shutdown by the Lizardmen. The Warriors of Chaos were able to secure a number of really nice beachheads. They were able to take that left flank pretty significantly, and they pushed through the center. However, they were spread out enough that they weren't really able to consolidate and make effective use of their higher armor and their shields to hold off the Skink blowpipes. And unfortunately, all of their real key players, like the Marauder Horsemasters and Sartorial himself, just got pin-cushioned and absolutely torn to pieces. They just weren't really able to get any value across the board. This unit of Halberds barely managed to squeak in to 800 value from catching on to either, I'm assuming this Stegodon based on their positioning. But pretty much everything on the Chaos side just got shut down before it could get any value. Basically no one got above 500 value except for that 1 unit, 2 units. I mean, that is rough. Meanwhile, we can see Tic-Tac-Toe didn't do anything. Tic-Tac-Toe wasn't there to do anything. He was literally just there to be a leadership. Like, he was there to provide leadership where it was needed, drop a single rock, and then just fly around and be a super cheap character. Same thing for most of the Skink characters. The Skink Priest, of course, did get a lot more value than shown here with the double Manticore summon. And the Skinks here, like, they got pretty decent value, only 500 each. But I suspect the big boys are going to be when we get down here. Yeah, look, Chameleon Skinks, 800, 730, only 300 there, 630, 400. And then the Solar Engine comes in with the big, the big swing and honker, 1,000, and the Stegodon coming in with 1,100. These two just pulled a crazy amount of weight. Between the Bolt Thrower and the Solar Engine, just getting some beautiful shots and a lot of early kills. And then once combat time came, they could just throw themselves in and let both sides get just obliterated and pincushioned by all the Chameleon Skinks and Javelins. Because what do they care? They have high enough armor, they can just ignore it. So, great game to both those players. And we are moving on to the next round, which is going to be Valkanos versus Lunacy. So let me make sure Lunacy knows that it's go time. Another great game. Why is this called Tabletop? So the gimmick to this and why we call it the Tabletop tournament. I need to change the map. Gorgazon's one of my listed maps, isn't it? Let me see. Gorgazon. It is great. Greenskins versus Skaven. Here's a grudge match. The reason I call it the Tabletop tournament is basically because it's designed around the rules that you would have in place when playing Tabletop Warhammer Fantasy back when you could play Tabletop. And the way that would essentially work is that you had to, whenever you went to a tournament, even if you go to an Age of Sigmar tournament or a 40k tournament nowadays, generally what you have to do is you have to create your list without knowing what the maps are, what the scenarios are, who your opponent is, what army they're taking. So you have to design your list so that it's capable of dealing with all comers. You know, you can't just take a list that is going to like you have to design it knowing that you could fight anything. So maybe you want to design it to deal with everything. Maybe you want to design it so that it's like super niche and it's like really good at doing one thing and hope that'll carry you through. But that's the philosophy behind it. And once you have your list, you go play and you don't get to change it. You're stuck with it all the way through the game. All right. So let's start with the Skaven, led by RTK's Valkanos. Let's see if Valkanos can avenge his Skaven brother, Human Boy. Yes. So Valkanos has a Gracier of Plague on a Screaming Bell, who's running the Dreaded 13th. Oh, that's really cool. So he's got the Dreaded 13th, Vermintide, the Warp Storm Scroll, Arcane Conduit, Unholy Clamor. And he's got his Bound Spell and Plague Rash. Very cool. So he's going all summons, but with a Gracier instead of a Plague Priest. Then he's got 2 units of Assassins, both of which have trophy heads, but only one of which has the Rival Hide Talisman. He's got 2 units of regular Skaven Slaves, 2 units of Clan Rats with Spears, 3 units of Skaven Slaves with Spears. We've got the Council Guard backed up with a unit of Warp Grinders, very cool. 2 units of Poison Wind Globadiers, 2 units of Jezzails, 3 units of Rat Ogres, and a unit of Wolf Rats with Poison. A very, very cool build that's kind of got a lot of different tools. Meanwhile, on the Greenskins side, we've got a front line of Gobos. So we've got 4 units of Goblins, and at the center of which is 8 Peak Loonies, Night Goblin Fanatics. We've got 2 units of Savage Orc Biggins, very, very cool. led by, of course, Grom the Paunch, who is running his lucky banner. De Great Un is here, and language of Du Bois. We've got 2 units of Stone Trolls, a unit of Night Goblin Squig Herders. Don't see those too often. And then, just, of course, being Greenskins, a whole bunch of skirmish. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, and then 2 units of Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers. And leading his army is a Orc Shaman with Brain Bursta and Gaze of Mork. And a Giant River Troll Hag with Spirit Leech, Mither, and... oh yeah, Overwhelming Order. And a Power Stone. What do I think of the new Chaos Waste FLC? Dude, Kiro, it is so good. It is so good. The idea of putting a roguelike in Vermintide is genius. It's I think it's 100% legit the most fun Vermintide content I've ever played. Alright, so the Skaven Horde is all moving together. Looks like they're moving to a more safe position, probably between these 2 hills. You figured they would stay on the hill and try and make use of effective use of the Jezzails, but I guess we'll have to see what his strategy is. He's kind of surrendering his high ground here to reposition between 2 high grounds, which could cause some issues. Over here, we see a upgraded Spirit Leech was used by the Giant River Troll Hag, who immediately pops her Power Stone. She miscast, but for her, that's not a huge deal. She can regenerate, and she goes ahead and hits the Poison Wind Globadiers, which kills off 2 of them and does a pretty okay amount of damage. They are not a unit that has a lot of models, so Spirit Leech is pretty painful for them. The Skaven are starting to move in on the Greenskin Horde, who do have a pretty significant amount of skirmish shooters that are about to start coming in. I am going to give the Greenskin player like another 2 or 3 seconds, but then he... Okay, there we go. Now we got attack orders. So the Greenskin player has come in, and he's starting to shoot at Clan Rats and Skaven Slaves. We do see that the Rat Ogres are coming out in response. I don't think they really... Can they catch them? 60 speed versus 78? No, not if he's paying attention. But hey, it does not seem to be paying attention. Those Rat Ogres are going to have some spider legs for lunch. We see Jezzails have started picking off Wolf Rider Archers. Rat Ogres are running around to try and chase off all these various skirmishers. Meanwhile, another Spirit Leech goes down on the Poison Wind Globadiers. Doesn't kill any models this time, but it does knock them down to about half health. Rat Ogres are eating a pretty substantial amount of skirmish damage. They probably do need to fall back sooner rather than later. I mean, he's got Jezzails. The Skaven player doesn't have to be coming out here and trying to, like, fight fair, so to speak. He could easily just fall back and allow the Jezzails to just start reaping a horrific tally. We see that this unit of Goblin Wolf Riders did fall back pretty far, probably trying to avoid running away and accidentally running off the field. You don't want to do that. That's always a bad time. And looks like we have another Spirit Leech coming down on these Poison Wind Globadiers. The Greenskins do not like these Globadiers. However, he is overcasting it every single time, which does kind of feel like a pretty significant waste of magic. Especially because I don't believe he has Arcane Conduit. No, he doesn't. So, like, he doesn't have a super great way to get a lot of Winds of Magic back. That feels like a hefty use of magic. Considering he has regeneration, I think he could very safely get into normal range of the Poison Wind Globadiers, slap him with a Spirit Leech, and then pull back. However, not all is going well on the Skaven side. The Rat Ogres have taken a rather significant amount of damage, considering that all they're really doing is sparing, like, Skaven slaves from getting shot up. The Jezzails, though, are getting some pretty good kills across the board. The Greenskins are bloodied. They haven't taken any massive or significant losses. Ooh, over here we do see the Night Goblin Squig Herders are getting a little bit of... taking some hits from some sniper shots. One model goes down. Looks like it isn't too bad other than that. We do see the Skaven starting to advance, likely because they probably just know that they just don't really have the... I don't really think they have enough ammo to kind of keep this up forever, you know? Over here, we do see that the Rat Ogres are not getting any orders. Looks like the Skaven player's micro is starting to suffer a bit. And two Rat Ogre units have been caught out and are being shot from pretty much every direction by just kind of a lot of skirmish fire. And, hoo boy, they are taking some damage. We do see that they are now starting to get some orders, trying to get them to pull back closer to home. I'm not exactly sure what the tactic really is to trade. I guess trading one Rat Ogre to get all of these units to basically waste all their ammunition, therefore protecting the Council Guard, the characters, and especially the Screaming Bell. I guess that in and of itself is not a bad trade, so I can see what's going on there. We do see that the Wolf Riders are committing after some Goblin Wolf Riders, but I don't think they're... Oh no, they are fast enough to catch them, but they are going to take a little bit of damage in that pursuit. But it looks like they are starting to fall back now. The Rat Ogres, overall, I mean, they have taken a just hysterical amount of damage, but they've also eaten a lot of ammo for it. Like, it hasn't been a horrible trade for them. We do have a little bit of lag, not too bad, just little kind of spikes here and there. Hopefully it'll settle out a little bit. It does look like the Greenskins are kind of trying to find like an entry point to get to really some of the juicy bits, but their main line does not seem interested at all in an engagement. The Greenskins are more than happy to just keep engaging as long as they want and just like getting their full ammunition out, which is totally fair. I mean, if they get all of their ammo expended, that's pretty much guaranteed value, especially because it's not like going into like regenerating troops or like really low tier infantry like Skaven slaves. Like, he's literally just getting massive amounts of fire into Rat Ogres of all things, which, I mean, hey, that's value. We do see one unit of Wolf Riders has broken, and they are heading towards the hills as they get picked off by Jezzails. When a unit is broken and running, that is always really bad news if it's being shot at, because it's going to run in like a straight, predictable direction, so you can't weave them around. And when you can't weave, you're going to take a lot more damage than you normally would. Here, we do see that these Spider Riders make a terrible mistake and get in range of the Poison Wind Globadiers, who absolutely nail them. And they are going to take a significant amount of damage from that, plus when you combo in the Warlock Jezzails. We do see that the first Vermintide summon has gone down to chase off the 8-Pook Loonies to make sure that they do not get a really nice Fanatic pull. I don't think these summons give a damn if they die, as long if they can get a Fanatic to get summoned, that is like a huge win for them. Over here, the Wolf Rats with Poison have been broken because they were able, of course, to overmatch the Spiders, but they could not overmatch the Night Goblin Squig Herders, especially with that Poison support. So we do see that the Wolf Rats with Poison have broken, but they haven't really seemed to decide what direction they're going to flee yet. And it looks like, for the most part, the Jezzails are going to be coming out on top in this skirmish warfare. This is a very tactical, careful game. There's a lot of careful back and forths going from both sides. Oh, some of those globes did manage to connect with those Goblin Wolf Rider archers. So they are going to be taking that damage over time, and they've got Rat Ogres coming for them, so they've got Fear and the debilitating leadership debuff from being shot, hurting them now. The Squig Riders have rallied. One of the Rat Ogre units does break. They still have 7 models, though, so there's actually a pretty reasonable chance that they will rally back into the battlefield. We see the Jezzails have now turned their attention to the Savage Orc Biggins, which is a very good pick. Those are super expensive. The Savage Orc Biggins are getting shot up, and it seems the Greenskin player does not appreciate that. So the Greenskin player is now coming in, and he is ready to throw fisticuffs because he cannot afford to let his Savage Orcs just take a bunch of free damage. Those are units that he's going to need to really make sure that the Council Guard can be effectively just beat down by sheer force. Granted, most of the armor piercing in the Greenskin army is focused on the Stone Trolls, who of course the Skaven are not shooting because they are very resistant to missile fire and they're very heavily armored. Well, for Trolls. Here we do see that the 8-Peak Loonies do get caught up by the summons. Oh, that's a really good lineup. We have a Scorch coming in. It's not perfectly aimed, but it's aimed... Oh, it's aimed well enough. I mean, it does get some nice damage on the 8-Peak Loonies. It does kill about 15 models when combined with the charge. So now the Greenskins are fully going in. This unit of Globadiers that was getting absolutely obliterated with Spirit Leeches is still holding strong. We see that Grom the Paunch does charge in to try and finish them off. He sees those assassins coming for him and decides, you know what, never mind. Maybe this is a silly place, let's go somewhere else. So he is falling back now. There is so much micro going on in this game. Like, this is the kind of stuff I can't do. I just don't have the... I don't have the willpower, the patience, or the brain to be managing, like, so many little things. We do see the Jezzails have now turned their attention to the Trolls. I do actually think that's pretty smart, because although the Trolls do have a lot of resistance to them, damage is damage when it comes to Trolls, and the important thing is that it's going to be doing leadership damage. Just getting shot by anything does do significant leadership damage. We see the Warp Grinders are pinning them in place, and here comes Dreaded 13th! Dreaded 13th! Dreaded 13th! Kaboom! Look at that damage! That actually did some really nice... That was a nice little spike of magic damage, even though these guys do have magic resistance, so it wasn't as much as it could have been. But most importantly, it summoned Storm Vermin. Storm Vermin with halberds who are surrounded by friendlies, and these trolls are going to get ripped to shreds if they do not fall back quickly. The Skaven line is pretty compromised at a couple places, but granted it's just goblins, so these goblins are probably going to get seen off. We do see most of the skirmish cavalry is running back, trying to get involved in the front line and mess up the Skaven, keep them from shooting. The Council Guard is committing to the fight moving forward. The Assassins have popped the Rival High Talisman and an Assassin's Trophy on the Giant River Troll Hag, and she is just taking horrible amounts of damage. She's trying to turn and fight them, but she breaks almost instantly because this Assassin Sandwich is just ripping her to pieces. Meanwhile, all the Trolls have broken and are running due to that big Storm Vermin explosion surrounding them with an enemy that is perfectly designed to beat them. Meanwhile, the 8-peak loonies do get off a pretty decent cast there, but looks like we've got another Vermintide coming out, and more Skaven are just piling onto this unbreakable unit. Meanwhile, the Screaming Bell is also committing to that battle. We've got this Orc Shaman who does not have any tools to deal with the double assassins, and they are jumping on him immediately, though I honestly think the Greenskin player just wasted way too much Winds of Magic trying to Spirit Leech down those... Globadiers. It was just, that was so much magic because he kept overcasting it, which, you know, he had the safety to overcast it from the sense that he did not need to worry about his wizard, like, taking too much damage because, you know, it's like, whatever, I'll just regenerate. But, I mean, I'm sure he would absolutely kill for a Brain Burster right around now. To just absolutely obliterate all of these, like, cheap Skaven infantry. I mean, that would instantly wipe them out. We do see that the Orc Shaman has broken and he's being chased off by the Assassins. The Council Guard are still at full health. They've taken virtually no damage, and they are now chasing after Grom the Paunch, but they're also going to go right into these Trolls, and the Council Guard are more than capable of absolutely devastating them. We see that another Scorch is about to come in, which is going to rip through those Goblins, doing a really sexy amount of damage. So, yeah, I just don't really see a way for the Greenskins to turn this around. Their magic is completely offline. The Giant River Troll Hag is being escorted off the battlefield by the Rat Ogres. The Assassins are escorting off the Orc Shaman. The only thing holding this army together at this point is Grom the Paunch, who, like, he's getting stuff done, but there's honestly only so much he can do. The Warp Grinders get another beautiful seismic snare that catches out these Trolls, so the Trolls can't run away, at least not for a hot second, and those Council Guard are just tearing into them and ripping them apart from the back. We see Grom the Paunch has managed to secure a little pocket on the battlefield, but the Greenskin player is going to go ahead and hand off the game, and I think that makes sense. It was a great game. There was a lot of really intricate skirmish going on there. And honestly, I think the Greenskin player won the skirmish phase. Like, he got a lot of really healthy damage on those Rat Ogres. Despite the fact that, honestly, except for one of them, not a whole lot of bodies dropped. But he was getting really good value out of all of his shooting. But I think he just spent way too much magic Spirit Leeching. I think he would have been way better off maybe Spirit Leeching... like, maybe one Spirit Leech just to get them a little down, or save it for when the fight really got big. But I think he would have been better off going off with Brain Burstas. Using Brain Burstas to really mess up the Clan Rat Spears, do a lot of damage, or, like, punch open holes in lines. Ultimately, though, it was a super great game. I really think the Broken Axe did super duper well in that early skirmish phase. They just weren't able to allocate the resources to where they needed to be. Looking at the after gold value, Grom got about 600 gold, poking at a few places. Yeah, the Orc wasn't able to really do much. The River Troll Hag got a little bit of value from her Cass. Goblins are goblins. AP Loonies got some pretty good value. You know, that's to be expected. They're unbreakable, and also Fnatic is really strong. Savage Orc Biggins both got shut down really hard. The Squighards actually did really well. Nighthawk and Squighoppers did very, very well for themselves, getting about 1,000 gold. Most of the skirmish units got some pretty good damage in. But over here, like, the Gracier did much better than Grom. Both of the Assassins got pretty decent value. The Storm Vermin did well. The Warp Grinders did well. Poisonwind Globadiers, one of them that didn't get Spirit Leash to Hell, did well. The Jezzails did extremely well. Both Jezzails coming out with over 1,100 gold of value. That's fantastic. And the Rat Ogres were big meat tanks. Like, they just took damage. Alright, and it's time for us to go into our third game after I change the map. Don't want to forget about that. Let's go somewhere a little more exotic. Let's go to the River Amixon. And this is our last quarterfinals game, and then we're off to the semis. And then from the semis, we're off to the finals. Alright, so we've got Greenskins versus Lizardmen. Thank you for the hydrate. I can feel my voice dying. Oh no, the food just got here. But I'm streaming. Any real-life Texas lore? What's some good Texas lore? I mean, probably the best lore that I know about Texas off the top of my head is that... you want to know some funny Texas lore that I always find amusing? Most of the towns and cities in Texas, especially if you're out like kind of in the boonies or like just in, you know, the middle of nowhere, a lot of the towns out there have really weird names. They're like very bizarre, like goofy names, like, and the reason for that, like, they just sound like somebody just like made it up and like was desperate. And the reason is because many towns, like small towns in Texas, used to have German names, but during World War II, that was not, you know, you didn't want to have German names, so they all changed their names to be something else. So, yeah. That's why a lot of them have very silly names. Alright, real quick, we'll go over this while they're going. Yeah, we can go over this while when they start. So, for Mr. Overlord, we've got the Pahawk Sentinels leading the charge, along with 2 units. Wow, this is like a hardcore Air Force. 2 units of Red-Crested Skinks. We got Tehedwan! The Prophet of Sotek himself, run the Plaque of Sotek, Pants Impenetrable Pelt, Amber Spear, Flock of Doom, Standard Die. He's got 2 units of Ripperdactyls with him. We've got 3 units of Javelin Skinks. We've got the Legion of Chaqua, Saurus with Spears. We've got a Saurus Scar Veteran on Cold One mount with the Potion of Strength, and double Bastillodon lasers. So he's definitely going to be able to dictate the pace of the battle. And tell the Greenskins, you have to come to me. And then there's also, on the Greenskin side, led by Dactor, we've got... we've got 4 units of Stone Trolls. So many Stone Trolls. We've also got... pure. We've also got Night Goblin. We got the AP Gloonies, of course. However, this time there's actually a Night Goblin Shaman with Vindictive Glare, who could actually be very, very dangerous to Tehanawan if he's able to get pop off some shots. We've got 4 units of Goblins with Spears, a hefty little amount of a lag. We've got 2 units of Forest Goblin Spider Riders. Sorry, 4 units of Forest Goblin Spider Riders and 2 units of Goblin Wolf Archer Riders. And then we've got 2 units of regular Forest Goblin Spider Riders. So yeah, we see the Night Goblin goes for an Overcast Vindictive Glare, but he miscasts, dealing some damage to himself, and he doesn't get the spell off! Oh no! Oh no! He reveals himself with that explosion, doesn't get his spell off. Oh wait, no, there he goes! Oh god, but it only did like maybe 10%, and oh god! Oh, Saving Private Goblin! He's getting lit up out there! Somebody save him! He's getting absolutely annihilated by those laser beams. Yeah, that dude does not have long ahead of him. I think he already... No, he doesn't even have a magic mushroom, so he can't pop it to force a faster cast. Who's leading the Greenskins? Oh, Grom the Paunch. There's also a Orc Shaman with Fists of Gork and Brain Bursta. Thank you for reminding me. But yeah, Grom the Paunch is leading, but he does not have the Lucky Banner. All he has is his 2 leadership abilities. Alright, so the Lizardmen, we can see, are kind of consolidating a little further on this hill. Once again, the nice thing with having, like, essentially artillery is that you get to dictate where the battle is going to take place if your enemy also does not have artillery. So we do see that Tehanawan eats another Vindictive Glare, but man, he's just tanking it. Like, he only lost, like, another 10% health, maybe? And there's not a ton of archers on the Greenskin side of things. Is that... Oh, wow, that was a brutal miscast. He does get off a really nice cast of Pan's Impenetrable Pelt and does commit to tearing up that Night Goblin Shaman. But that miscast did like 25% of his health, and that was a really ballsy charge. Ripperdactyls are not good at fleeing from battle, and he is completely surrounded by high mass, like cavalry and trolls. So many trolls. If Tehanawan can get out, he'll be okay. But see, look, he's trying to escape, and he just runs into a cavalry unit. So yeah, these Ripperdactyls are going to get absolutely annihilated. That may have been an absolute suicide charge. We see the Bastildons are trying to get down here so they can start firing some lasers and maybe provide him with an escape. Beautiful Brain Bursta. Oh my god, that did like 50% of those Skink Javelin's health. Tehanawan is totally surrounded. Grom the Paunch is in there. They're eating lasers, but you know what? These trolls don't give a damn about lasers. The trolls are weak to fire damage, but at the same time, they have missile resistance and magic resistance, which is what those lasers are. They are magic missiles. So, if anything, that's going to counter not only counter the fire damage, but actually leave the trolls at a net positive. We do see pretty nice drop rocks come down to try and save Tehanawan, but I just think it's way too little, way too late. He's just not that fast. He's only got about 200 health left. He does actually manage to get up in the air, but he's probably going to get sniped out by shooting or a Vindictive Glare. Oh, is that tree going to block it? Nope. And boom! Down goes the Prophet of Sotek. Oh, that is a devastating blow to the Lizardmen. We see one of the Bastildons has also, like, way overextended. The Lizardmen are in a really bad position right now because these Stone Trolls are going to take these Bastildons and just smash them into, like, turtle soup. Like, there is not going to be a lot left of them. Plus, their leadership is really bad, so if you're not supporting them with a, like, powerful leadership character... And we see, it looks like the Lizardmen were trying to be crafty and keep a lot of their units in reserve to come out later once the Bastildons had done a lot of damage, but it's just way too late. Like, over half of their army has been completely torn to pieces. There's only one leadership character left on the battlefield holding everything together. One Bastildon who's mostly out of ammo. And this Saurus Scarvet is trying to take down this Orc Shaman, which, yeah, he probably will. But, like, he's getting hit with poison arrows, and now he's got, like, a whole crap load of Stone Trolls on him. They're about to crack open a cold one. So, yeah, I just don't see a scenario where the Lizardmen even have a chance. Like, Tahinowan in the Double Ripper Dactyl is actually a build I really like to run, but you got to be super, super cautious with where you lay that sucker down. That is not something that you can just throw out anywhere you want, and it's going to work out well for you. You got to be like tactical airstrike with that stuff. So from there, we see that, yeah, the Scar veteran is dead, shattered, and the Lizardman already falls apart. And that's going to be a hefty win for the Greenskins as they begin their wah. So, a great game there from both players. Very fast game. The Lizardmen just sold their lives way too cheaply. They tried to dive in and go for a good kill on the Night Goblin Shaman, who got 1,000 gold of value, my lord. But, probably because he finished off Tahinowan. But ultimately, I just don't think he realized that he was going to be stuck. Like, Ripperdactyls are not heavy enough to push through cavalry. They're pretty much in the same class. Like, they might be able to push them around light cavalry, but they're not going to be able to get out of there fast enough to get away from 4 units of Stone Trolls. The Stone Trolls came out with a lot of really good value. The Spider Rider Archers did really well. The Forest Goblin... the Greenskin player didn't even use his Forest Goblin Spider Riders. He never used them. They got 0 value and did 0 damage. So, like, they were completely left out of the fight. And he still came out in a very, very commanding position. Yeah, Grom coming out with about 13 gold value. So, yeah, the Lizardmen just sold their lives way too cheaply. Granted, I do think this Greenskin build was a hard counter to this Lizardman build. The Bastillodons with solar engines were not going to do anything to these trolls. Like, they were just going to completely bounce off. They would not do nearly enough damage just because of the magic resistance and the missile resistance on the stone trolls, holding back a lot of that fire damage. All right, so that is the last of the quarterfinal matches. Dactyr will be moving into the semis, and it looks like our next match in the semifinals is going to be Abarash and his Bretonnians versus Count Leek. Who'd have won that in tabletop? Probably the probably the Lizardmen, honestly, because the trolls missile or the magic resistance does not work in tabletop or fantasy lore the way it works in this game. In this game, magic resistance is like a really blanket term, which is like anything magical is resisted, and that's not how that works at all. Magic resistance is much more like it's far different. Okay, let's go to the Pillar of Bone. Alright, give me just a sec, guys. My sister was wonderful and was nice enough to bring me my food. Let me grab it. Oh, there's even a drink. No veggies, though. Bummer. What's the point of getting Asian food if you're not going to have veggies with it? Alright, so when these gents are ready, we will hop into it. Make sure I didn't miss any tips. Cool. Alright, so we've got the Tic-Tac-Toe build from Tlaqua going up against the Bretonnians. This will be an interesting game. The Bretonnians have a fair amount of archers, and they have a ton of knights. I mean, he's got like 6 units of knights, which is really going to put a lot of pressure on those skinks. We need to start doing predictions for who's going to win on Twitch. I totally forgot about that. I need to make sure that's in place and ready to go for next time. So, in case you missed the quarterfinals, let's go over their builds real quick. So, on the Lizardmen side, we've got 5 freaking units of Chameleon Skinks. A Bastildon with Solar Engine, a Stegodon with a Giant Bow, Tic-Tac-Toe, pretty much naked, leading the army, just because he's super duper cheap. A Skink Chief on foot, that's naked. A Skink Priest on foot, who's got Flock of Doom and the Manticore Summon. We've got 4 units of Skink Javelins, 3 units of Red Crested Skinks, one of which is the cohort of Sotek, and then 2 units of regular Skink cohorts. Then on the Bretonnian side, we've got 6 units of Knights, 4 of which are Knights of the Realm, including the Knights of the Lionhearted ROR, and 2 of which are Questing Knights. Then we've got 5 units of Peasant Archers, 3 of which have Pox Arrows, 5 units of Peasant Mobs, 2 Paladins that are completely naked, and then the Fey Enchantress, who is running all sorts of goodies with her Chalice of Potions, Dwellers Below, Earthblood, and she's of course got her lovely Blessing of the Lady Ward and Mists of the Lady debuff. So, when these 2 lads are ready, we can begin. While I take a bite of some chicken. Hey, Gojiro, what's up, dude? And we're off! So the Stegodon and the Bastildon are going to be dictating this first thing. Do I have chopsticks? Nobody gave me chopsticks. They gave me a fork with jerks. Grab 2 branches from a tree? What? That sounds disgusting. Alright, the Chameleons are getting some early pressure into these Paladins. They are pretty hardy, though. Oh, nice charge. Shoot faster. So this unit of Skink Hordes with Javelins, they're dead. However, this unit of Knights of the Realm is having a really bad time. They do manage to slip around and get on these Chameleon Skinks alongside the Knights of the Lionhearted. This unit of Skink cohort is broken. These Chameleon Skinks are running for the hills with for all their worth. Bastildon is shooting into the hill, so he does need to reposition. The Lizardman player, though, is doing a great job of swinging out really wide around this flank, because he wants to try and lure those Knights into bad engagements and give all of his infantry ample time to chew through these peasant mobs, because they will chew through these peasant mobs like there's no tomorrow. Here we do see that the first Chameleon Skink unit has broken. It's going to be critical that Aberrash's Bretonnians make absolutely sure to chase them down and off the table. Because if he doesn't, they will stealth once they're far enough away. And once they're stealthed, it's going to be hard for him to avoid them coming back. Here we do see that the lasers and the giant bow from the Stegodon and Bastildon respectively are starting to fire into the Knights. However, they do not have nearly as much time as they probably wanted to be fighting unharassed. We do see that Aberrash is doing a great job of making sure those Chameleon Skinks do not come back. Laser Beam and Giant Bow are firing into the Knights. They've pretty much wiped out this unit of Knights of the Realm, but here come the Knights of the Lionhearted lining up for a big countercharge on this Bastildon, who's going to meet them gloriously in battle, which unfortunately is going to result in him being very surrounded very quickly. But he does have support coming in from the Giant Bow and just hysterical amounts of Skinks preparing for battle. Over here, we do see these questing knights have completely chased off one unit of skinks, which is fantastic. And the balance of power is slightly in favor of the Bretonnians. However, the Bretonnians are going to have a hard time dealing with these big dinosaurs. They probably need to kill just about everything else first to make sure that when they do commit to the big dinosaurs, they don't accidentally get surrounded by shooting attacks and just, like, eviscerated. Here, we do see that the Bastiladon on the Solar Engine is very by himself. He does not have any Lizardmen characters helping protect him and bolster up his leadership, so he's taking a lot of damage, and it doesn't look like any of the Lizardmen are really rallying to his aid. He needs that giant bow fighting into these Knights of the Realm. He's taking a lot of leadership damage from being surrounded. He's taking damage from the Fey Enchantress. He's taking damage from the Peasant Bowman, and he breaks. The Lizardmen have to make absolutely sure he rallies, or else they're going to have a really bad time. These Knights of the Realm, though, are continuing to harass him. The Chameleon Skinks are shooting at the Peasant Mob, which is actually not the right target. They need to be getting onto these Knights over here. Meanwhile, we do see that the Paladins have started to hunt the Lizardman leadership structure. I don't see Tic-Tac-Toe on the battlefield, so I'm wondering if the Knights killed him. I may have missed that. Yeah, I don't see Tic-Tac-Toe anywhere. The Chameleon Skinks are in pretty rough shape around the battlefield. There are a couple pockets where they're doing well. Here we see this Bastiladon is just running for his poor dear life, and the Chameleon Skinks are not close enough to help support him. The giant bow is shooting in, but it is way too little too late. The balance of power is significantly in favor of the Bretonnians at this point, who are just smashing back these lizards one big hit at a time. Tic-Tac-Toe is 100% dead. Yeah, he's totally gone. Or at least he was chased off the battlefield. And it's because he just didn't have any defense. Like, he had nothing to protect him from these paladins, and he didn't have any of his, like, sky battle equipment. If he had had his helmet and his blade, he might have been able to take them on with the help of a mana core. But the leadership structure of the Lizardman is completely gone. The Skink Priest is shattered. The Skink Chief is running for his life and is not really rallied together. The Bastiladon is as good as dead with 4 hit points left. The only thing left holding this entire army together is the Stegodon, who's about to get charged by 3 units of being healed knights and double paladins. I think this is very handedly in favor of the Bretonnians. Like, they are just absolutely kicking ass and taking names. It does look like they kind of split apart after going in on that big charge on the Stegodon. I'm assuming so they can maybe get a surround, but it looks like maybe instead... Oh, wait, no, that Skink Priest didn't shatter. I thought for sure he shattered, but nope, he's back in the game, and he does summon a Manticore. But, yeah, that's way too little too late, my dude. Like, that's going to artificially inflate the balance of power so that the Lizardmen don't shatter, per se, but they just don't have a way to deal with this massive horde of knights. We do see that the Stegodon is now fully surrounded. He's got paladins on both sides just pistol whipping him with their lances. With that significant anti-large bonus they've got, and yeah, there's just nothing that can be done at this point. There's no way in hell that Bastiladon's coming back. The only thing holding this army up now is the Manticore. It looks like he's just basically going to suicide charge in on these paladins and maybe try and get a little bit of damage before the end of the game. But this Skink Priest isn't going to be able to do anything. This Skink Chief isn't going to be able to do anything. I just don't really see a way that the Lizardmen can come back from this. Hey, Ikai Gamer, thanks for the raid. Big raid. Thank you. Very generous of you. Welcome, guys. Y'all are catching the first of the semi-final matches in my Total War Warhammer Tabletop tournament, which I'll explain that whole shenanigan in a minute. Here we do see that the Manticore has finally degraded. The Lizardman army is shattered, and all that's left are the unbreakable cohort of Sotek. So as soon as the cohort of Sotek has been wiped out, yeah, there's nothing left for them. That is game. So the Lizardmen are defeated. They have been cast down from the high peaks by Bretonnia. They had a very, very efficient, deadly build with a lot of awesome skirmish fire and stuff, but they just couldn't handle the 6 units of knights. The septuplet of knights was just... there was just way too much maneuverability for them, and the rest of their front line was just easily matched with mass shooting. And that is our game. Awesome, what a great match. Hey, Kai Gamer, I'm doing well. Were you playing some Total War? what were you doing before you so wonderfully chose to raid yourself in here? I appreciate the visit. So, ooh, I shouldn't have done that. I should be drinking caffeine when I'm streaming, because that's going to be bad. Alright, so, for my voice. Looking at the value in the post-game analysis, we could see that, you know, the skinks kind of were just doing their jobs, trying to hold the line. This one, which I believe was one of the earliest ones to get into the peasants, got a little bit of value. Got some decent fights in, but not great. The the cohort of Sotek did get some half-decent value, but I don't think they quite made their cost up. They did get a lot of kills in, but they're also unbreakable and were able to fight to the bitter end. Meanwhile, javelins weren't able to perform very well, and as we could see, the chameleon skinks really struggled. A lot of them were able to get up to or close to their value in points, but despite even having a lot of health up, like this unit got run off the table super duper early, this unit got run off very early, and they really needed all those chameleon skinks defending the dinosaurs. I think the thing that ultimately doomed the Lizardmen is they were too spread out. They were super spread out because they were going to try and like lure the Bretonnians into kiting them, but what they really needed to do was to make a fortress around the big dinosaurs. That way the big dinosaurs could just spend their time shooting knights. Because, I mean, look at the value these knights got. 1,700 gold in value, 950, 1,050. Yeah, like, the knights were able to just do whatever. And look at the paladins, dude. 1172 and 1176. The goon squad of paladins got some work done. I mean, they killed off Tic-Tac-Toe pretty much effortlessly. And then were able to just fly around sniping dinosaurs. So, yeah, I think because the Lizardmen were just so spread out, they weren't able to deal with these little death blobs of knights that were running around just beating the crap out of them. If they had been unified around the dinosaurs, that way the dinosaurs could protect them and they could just cross-shoot over each other, I think the knights would have had a much, much harder time. But, yeah, that's how it goes. So, a great game from those two players. And we're on to our second semifinal match, which is going to take place in... Let's see, I need a map. Let's go to... Let's go to the Ogham Shard. Ogham Shard's a pretty cool map. Ogham Shard. I can find it. There we go. Alright. So for our other semifinal match, we've got the Greenskins going up against the Skaven. So as soon as Valkanos is ready, we'll hop into it. Oh, you were doing Rakarth's campaign? How are you enjoying it? Is there more than one changeling in the lore of Warhammer Fantasy? No. Oh yeah, so Raiders, those of you from Ikai Gamer, just a quick overview. I'm Lore Master of Sotek, hello, in case we've never met. I am the leading authority, I guess you could say, on the lore of Warhammer Fantasy, and I'm pretty high up there when it comes to Age of Sigmar, but I have built my community and my channel on YouTube and on Twitch around the wonderful world of Warhammer Fantasy, all of its video games, its books, its novels. I played the tabletop game, I paint the miniatures, I am up to my neck in it. So if you really enjoy Warhammer Fantasy, you want to know more about the universe, more about the massive, massive 30 plus years of lore behind it, you've come to the right place. But today we're doing what's called my Tabletop tournament, which I know may sound silly because we're playing Total War Warhammer, not Tabletop. But the reason it's called Sotek's Tabletop Tournament is that this tournament has its rules designed how you would play Warhammer Fantasy Tabletop back in the day. which is that you would design your army before you would show up to an event. Because most tournaments in Total War Warhammer have like a pick and ban system, and you build your army knowing who your opponent is. But in my tournament, you don't get to do that. You have to design your list and submit it before the tournament, so you don't know who your opponent is, you don't know what maps you're playing on, you don't know what armies you're fighting, so you have to design your list to try and deal with all comers. You have to try and find a way to create a list that nobody can beat, no matter what their build is or who their army is, or what map you're playing on. And we are in the second to last match of the semifinals, and the winner of my tournaments gets to walk away with $50. Rafter Sora, what would I recommend to read first? Yep, Kiro nailed it on the head. If you have no experience with Warhammer Fantasy, the first book series you should always start with is Gotrek and Felix. Alright, so, real quick to go over the armies again, in case you missed earlier games. On the Greenskins side, led by Dactor, we've got 4 units of Goblin Spearmen. We've got the 8 Peak Loonies, which are the Regiment of Renown Night Goblins with Fanatics. 4 units of Stone Trolls. We've got Grom the Paunch without his banner. He just has his leadership abilities. We've got a Orc Shaman with Brain Bursta and Fists of Gork. Then we've got a Night Goblin Shaman somewhere. There he is. With Vindictive Glare. And then we've got 4 units of Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers. 2 units of Goblin Wolf Rider Archers. And then 2 units of Forest Goblin Spider Riders with a Chevron. Then on the Skaven Death Star here, where they are led into battle by a Grayseer of Plague, who's running summon spells. So where'd he go? He's got Dreaded 13th, which is one of my favorite spells in the game, and Vermintide. But he does have his Warpstone Scroll to deal with flyers, and he does have Scorch because he's on a Screaming Bell. We've got a unit of Warp Grinders, 2 units of Poison Wing Globadiers, the Council Guard Storm Vermin at the center, which are the Regiment of Renown. We've got 3 units of Skaven Slaves with Spears, 2 units of Skaven Clan Rats with Spears, 2 units of regular Skaven Slaves, 3 units of Rat Ogres, 2 units of Warplock Jezzails. And that's everything. Let's begin. So, Dactor... this may have been a rough map for Dactor, but we'll see how he handles it. Skaven do have a bit of a commanding position, but he doesn't have any war machines, though. So, it's not that bad. At first, I was like, but it's like, oh wait, he doesn't even have a Warp Lightning Cannon. What a cool but horrible map to play. Listen, blame Anticity. He gave me the list, okay? I literally just throw like a mental dart at one of the maps. No artillery? He's got some Jezzails, so he does have some long-range shooting, but no artillery. Sotek, do you have any info that you still cannot share about Warhammer 3? World 777? You got me. You absolutely, you got me, man. I never thought anyone would ask that question. But since you asked, by the laws of anime and God, I guess I have to tell you that no, I don't. Get out of here. Also there's some wolf rats with poison over there that tried to get an early catch on the Goblin Wolf Rider Archers. Not quite. Hey, AOS coaches in chat. Anyone on the YouTube chat, if y'all haven't already, you should absolutely check out AOS Coach's channel if you have even the smallest interest in playing tabletop AOS. Awesome channel. I would really love to see him get above, what do you almost do, 10k subs? So if you haven't already, you should totally go over there and sub to his channel. Are the players also streaming the matches? They can if they want. I don't believe anyone is today. But it's totally allowed. A lot of people don't, Grimmelkin, because these games are best of 1. So if you lose, you're out. And if you win, you move on to the next round. So most of them, I don't think, tend to stream because you don't know how long you're going to be streaming for. Alright. So over here, we see actually, funny enough, this Greenskin build is very similar to the Greenskin build that the Skaven fought in the quarterfinals. So Volcanos' Skaven actually fought another Greenskin build that was very, very heavily reliant on an early skirmish phase. So we're going to have to see if Volcanos can repeat his victory against the Greenskins here. Even though this is a slightly different build, it does have significantly more hitting power when it comes to melee because of all the Stone Troll action. But the Grom is also more vulnerable to dying because he doesn't have his lucky banner. So if he gets in a bad situation, he's probably going to die. We do see, though, the Greenskins so far are actually making very efficient use out of the terrain. We do see that there has been a half-decent catch here. Actually, this may not be all that bad for the Forest Goblin Spider Riders. They do get caught in the forest by this unit of Rat Ogres. However, Forest Goblin Spider Riders have the Forest Strider special rule, so they don't take penalties despite being large when fighting in a forest, and they have poison attacks. Meanwhile, the Rat Ogres do take penalties fighting in a forest because they're large. Their speed and melee attack are reduced. But we do see that the Rat Ogres manage to get the hell out of dodge before they get completely surrounded and torn apart. Meanwhile, the Jezzails are trying to get off some really nice picks. We do see that a unit of Forest Goblin Spider Riders is broken, but luckily for the Greenskins, they're not fleeing towards the edge of the battlefield. They flee more towards the center and do rally fairly quickly. The Skaven do have a very nice Death Star going on here. As long as their Jezzails have ammo, they can Death Star. However, if the... Ooh! Damn! Dude, that was an overcast brain bursta, so it actually had a significant boost in armor piercing damage. That has cut the Council Guard down to about 60% of their health and killed off 11 models. That is a devastating amount of damage from such a cheap spell. But they have such a large unit with 120 models that brain bursta overcast, it'll do the work. Here we do see that Grom the Paunch has committed to the fight, and he needs to get out of there real quick or else he's going to have a really bad time. But it looks like he is going to get saved by his mass horde, and in come the big charges. So the Stone Trolls are all coming in from just all sorts of angles. We've got all sorts of cavalry piling in. The Assassin was trying to find a way to get on Grom, but he has pieced out, and it looks like the rear line of the Skaven is vulnerable. We've got Forest Goblin Spider Riders getting in on the Jezzails, which they will absolutely tear to pieces. A really nice Overcast Brain Bursta knocks the Council Guard to about a third of their health. And also a beautiful, beautiful cast of Fanatics goes just ripping through the Skaven, dealing lots and lots of damage. We hear the bell is tolling as the Skaven are doing their damnedest to cast as much magic as possible. But honestly, this is looking really, really rough for the Skaven. The Wah meter is now fully charged, and there it goes. Wah! The Greenskins have popped a Wah. Really nice Scorch. Basically finishes off the AP Loonies. They are not going to be throwing any more Fanatics this game. And we do see that the Skaven General is trying to get a handle on the situation, but there are 4 full health units of Stone Trolls that are coming for him. And that is just not a position you want to be in. It looks like here we've got another unit of Clan Rats coming out. He's just trying to get as many bodies as he can on the field to help defend him. There are a lot of Stone Trolls. However, Stone Trolls are not the most reliable allies because if they get in a really bad fight situation or they just kind of get outnumbered, they will actually start to break apart and start running, and the Skaven could turn that in their favor. Over here, we do see that the Assassins actually, it looks like they popped their Trophy Head, maybe? Yeah, the Rival Hide Talisman. They popped the Rival Hide Talisman, so those Stone Trolls have really, really bad melee stats. The Assassins are actually probably going to be able to hold them off for a bit. Meanwhile, the Council Guard have joined in the fray here and are holding back these Trolls and giving Guardian to the Gracier, which is allowing him not to take too much damage. We do see that the Skaven are trying to get an upper hand on this Troll situation over here. If they can claim that flank, they might be able to pull the battle back in their favor. Over here, we see Rat Ogres trading off blows with Stone Trolls, which is going to favor the Stone Trolls. But as long as that Gracier of Plague is holding steady, his leadership with the Screaming Bell will be able to keep the Skaven army from just completely falling apart. We do see one of the Assassins has fallen back to the center field here, is likely trying to hunt for Grom or at least just find a good home for him. The other one, though, has been surrounded and has broken, just getting torn apart by spiders and Stone Trolls. We do see that the Greyseer has pushed his way out of that super messy combat. The Night Goblin Shaman is completely surrounded and getting ripped to pieces by wolf rats. Over here, we see Jezzails have managed to get a long-range position and are firing in on trolls, trying to break things apart. A really nice Scorch goes in, trying to get rid of the AP Gloonies. The Council Guard are only down to 22 guys fighting in a last-ditch effort against the AP Gloonies. So we got Unbreakable versus Unbreakable. They will fight to the bitter end. Meanwhile, over here, we do see the Assassin jumps in on the Orc Shaman, who does get off a last spiteful FU of a cast, managing to kill off another unit of Skaven Slaves and panic a unit of Rat Ogres who are running for the hills. Meanwhile, most of the Skaven army has shattered and is running away. The only thing holding them together now is the Greyseer Plague and this Assassin. If the Greyseer has enough magic for it, he really could use a Dreaded 13th. If he can cast a Dreaded 13th, he may be able to turn the battle in his favor, because it looks like the Skaven have 100% committed to this fight now. Or, sorry, the Greenskins. The Greenskins are coming in with everything they have. The Assassin is completely surrounded by just... look at all these stone trolls! There's so many trolls, and they've got a wah! The trolls are wahing! Oh, the wah! So with that, I just don't see a way for the Skaven to turn this around. The Skaven were able to beat a build similar to this. However, unfortunately, it seems like the Greyseer used all of his magical power just spamming Vermintide, and now he's got nothing left. He breaks, he shatters, and with his defeat, the Skaven army collapses. All that's left is two members of the Council Guard. He'll go ahead and hand off the match, and that is game. So, Dactyr claims revenge for Grom the Paunch defeated earlier in the day. Volcanos managed to defeat Grom the Paunch, took his lucky banner, and under Dactyr, Grom came roaring back with a legion of trolls and beat the snot back out of him. So looking at the value here, we can see Grom got out with a really nice hefty amount of gold, 1,200 damage in value. But oh man, look at that Orc Shaman. Just from overcasting Brain Burstas, he got 1,000 damage in value. Those overcast Brain Burstas absolutely annihilated the Council Guard. And the Council Guard were critical to holding off the trolls. And there just weren't enough of them left. Goblins got... the AP Gloonies got surprisingly terrible value for 106 kills, so I guess they killed nothing but slaves. The Spider Rider Archers, or Spider Riders, did well for themselves, pretty much getting their money's worth. The Archers also did pretty well, and then the Trolls, oh wow, yeah, 544, 1,062, 762, and 1,287. That is phenomenal value on those Trolls. And they did not, they only lost 2 Trolls in the entire fight. Meanwhile, on the Skaven side, the Greyseer got a lot of kills, but unfortunately almost everything he killed was just like goblins, so he also didn't get great value. The Assassins did well for themselves, getting rid of most of the command structure, but they just weren't able to get their claws on Grom the Paunch. He was just too maneuverable for them. A lot of the Council Guard did get 666 in value, but unfortunately that's not the lucky number for Skaven. But yeah, overall, great, very, very good game. It was interesting to really see how those Stone Trolls came so hard and clutch for Dactyr, where the previous game, Volcanos just didn't have anything to really threaten him in melee, and you could tell. Alright, and then for our last game, we're going to go to my favorite multiplayer map, which is... I can find it. Sword of Torgold. And this is the finals for today. The final match in today's bracket is going to be the Greenskins versus Bretonnia, which I have to say, what? In a tabletop tournament where we had enough slots open that anybody could join? Honestly, I'm shocked. Best of one. I am genuinely shocked. There's no dwarfs, no vampire coast, no lizardmen, no Skaven. It is the time of the Warhammer 1 races. Did I know Aberratch is Alric Rawl? Yes. I did figure that out. Thank you. Alright. Make sure you get a drink of water, guys, and let's head into the finals. Yeah, no, what else? All right, here we go. So, in case you're somehow just joining us, this is the final match of today's tournament for the stream. And it's Bretonnia versus the Greenskins. Both are massive armies, and it's going to be a battle of cavalry, noble Bretonnian lance versus brutal Greenskin stone trolls. Alright, so to go over the Bretonnian army, there are 6 units of knights. 4 of them are Knights of the Realm, one of which is Knights of the Lionhearted with their magical damage and high stats. Then you've got 2 units of Questing Knights to provide that hefty armor piercing and immune to psych. We've got 5 units of Peasant Bowmen, 3 of which have pox arrows. 5 units of Peasant Mobs who are there to just die in the name of the lady. 2 Paladins on Pegasi who are naked, they're just there to kick some ass. And then the Fey Enchantress. And the Fey Enchantress is showing up with the Chalice of Potions, so she can summon meteors twice during the game. She's got Dwellers Below, Earth Blood, and then she's got her various buffs. Meanwhile, on the Greenskin side, we've got 4 units of Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers, 2 units of Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, 4 units of Stone Trolls, 4 units of Goblins, 2 units of Forest Goblin Spider Riders, no Archer, with chevrons. 1 chevron each, an Orc Shaman with Brain Bursta, Fist of Gork, a Night Goblin Shaman with Vindictive Glare, Grom the Paunch with only his leadership abilities, and the 8-Peak Loonies, the Night Goblin Fanatic ROR. So already we see that both the Greenskins have begun their tactic of skirmish warfare. Of course, the only thing they're able to get close to and shoot are the peasants, which frankly I think the Bretonnians are more than happy to throw into the meat grinder. Every arrow that goes into a peasant is a peasant well spent. However, we do see that there is some return fire coming in from the peasant bowmen with pox arrows. They do manage to get a couple small hits, but nothing meaningful. They don't manage to kill any models with that first volley. And overall, the Greenskins will definitely have control of the early game and dictating the pace of this battle. We do see that each of these units has used about 10% of their ammo. A nice Brain Burster going down on these Peasant Bow with pox arrows. Doesn't kill any models, but does do about 15% of their max health. And does scatter them around so they're not going to be shooting for a hot second. So the Skirmish Cav are a little bit free here. Overall, we do see that the Bretonnians are heavily shifting over to this left side of the battlefield, ready to deal with the main thrust of the Greenskin army. But I will say I'm a little worried for the Bretonnians. They do need to be careful to get these knights over here as quickly as possible, because the Greenskins are committing absolutely nothing to that left flank. They are committing only to this this flank that we're on over here. Over here, we do see that the peasant archers have started to fire into the goblins. The goblins, that's their job. They're there to just get shot. Over here, we do see the Greenskin leadership charging forward, likely trying to bait out a charge from the Bretonnians, wiggling their butts around saying, hey, paladins, look at this juicy steak, and doesn't look like the paladins are falling for it. Excuse me. Meanwhile, the skirmish cav is starting to move into the forest. For the Forest Goblin Spider Riders, this will be an advantageous position. Meanwhile, over here, we do see that the peasant archers are actually starting to trade very, very efficiently. With this skirmish cav, the peasant mob is about to get absolutely eviscerated. And over here, it looks like the Greenskins are about to make their play. One of the knight units, Knights of the Realm, does push through and gets a very healthy charge on some goblins. Likely just trying to draw out a fight. And they actually do get hit by a pretty nice, looks like overcast, maybe just a regular brain burst. That's hard to tell. But it looks like that was just a ploy to learn out Grom the Paunch. Grom the Paunch does get surrounded and eats a nasty charge from these questing knights. Grom the Paunch is completely surrounded. He needs to get the hell out of there right now. He's trying to get open a window. The stone trolls are massing to aid him. He does have regeneration, so he can survive a little bit. It looks like this back unit just throw themselves into the troll to try and hold Grom in place. Both the paladins come charging down the trolls, trying to break it down, and I honestly think the battle's going to come down to this fight right here. We do see that this first unit of knights does decide to fall back, not wanting to get caught up too much in an internal mincemeat. Over here, it looks like a Dwellers Below is about to pop out, and if that actually manages to connect with the Greenskin army, that is going to do so much damage. Oh my god! Even with all the magic resistance on those trolls, they are super heavy, and this slows them down. They are taking a ton of damage. The Greenskins immediately answer with an Overcast Brainburster that tears the Knight of the Realm in half. We see that the Greenskins are trying to commit overall into this big battlefield. A lot of units around these flanks are now getting caught up as the Greenskin micro is being focused instead on this battle. So a lot of these Knights and Peasant Archers are able to catch out a lot of the skirmish fire. Grom the Paunch has been surrounded. He's about 50% health, as he is not able to keep up with the Trolls. The Trolls are falling back because that Dwellers Below just did an obscene amount of damage to them and completely broke all of their Goblin allies, so there's no infantry here. However, Grom does manage to make it out. He's at about 50% health, but of course Grom the Paunch does have regeneration, so it's not the worst thing in the world for him. Meanwhile, we see that another Troll unit here is going to get torn apart by these Paladins. The Paladins are ideal for this matchup. They have a fantastic stat line when it comes to reaping through them. Oh, a beautiful Comet! A Comet of Casadora cast from the Chalice of Potions does come down, obliterates 2 of these units of Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers. We do see that the wall has been popped, and now the Greenskins are charging in, trying to get rid of this hero squad. They've got to get rid of this hero squad. Another Overcast Brainburst that comes down, dealing a lot of damage to these Knights. However, the Lady of the Lake is not taking no for an answer. The Fae Enchantress has committed the fight. She's giving -5 melee attack to all of these Trolls. Both Troll units have broken. They are running from the field. The Peasant Archers are dealing a ton of shooting damage into them. The balance of power has swung significantly in favor of the Bretonnians, who are doing excellent with their little Death Star here. They need to get these Trolls rallied and safe into a conglomerated whole. Grom the Paunch does charge in, trying to provide some relief to the Trolls. He does hit like an absolute god if he's able to get in some good strikes, but things are looking really rough. We see an Overcast Earthblood go down, which is healing a lot of these Bretonnian Knights, trying to keep them at their fray because their leadership is super fragile. We do see these Trolls are coming around here trying to get a rear charge. A beautiful regular Brainburst, it looks like, does hit the Knights of Lionhearted, dealing some damage and putting their leadership down to 2. But they're holding on. They are holding on. As long as they're holding on, the Greenskins are in terrible trouble. They need to get around to this flank. They managed to shatter these Knights of the Realm. They need to get a rear charge right here. But the Bretonnians see that they're vulnerable and immediately start pulling back. We've got Peasant Archers shooting in from every direction. The Greenskins hand off the game, and that is game. Oh, the Bretonnians! Bretonnia comes out on top! I think for the first time, the Bretonnians have claimed victory in a Sotek tabletop tournament. What timeline is this? That Dwellers Below just instantly crumpled the protective line around Grom, and those Trolls just unfortunately were forced to come in one at a time, and when they tried to get around the flanks to go in on the flanks of those Knight units, the Bretonnians were waiting for them. The Bretonnians took this cheap unit of Knights of the Realm and he just threw them into the meat grinder, and that Comet was incredible. Look at that. The Fae Enchantress came out with 2,300 damage and value. That's insane! Considering that her only damage spells were Dwellers Below and Comet, which are 2 spells that are so hard to hit. They have super long cast times, and it's very easy for the opponent to avoid it if they see it. But she timed it so perfectly, and both of those spells just ripped the Greenskin army to shreds. Oh my sweet lord. She did so much damage. Grom the Paunch was able to get a lot of good hits, but he kind of unfortunately was the tumble that led into a bad situation, because while Grom ran forward and got some early hits in, he over-pursued, he over-committed to chasing off one of the Knights of the Realm and was able to get folded in on, so he got stuck, and the entire Greenskin army got forced out of position trying to save Grom the Paunch. Because if Grom dies, the leadership army, the Greenskins, the leadership hit that the Greenskin army takes is just brutal. Like, there's almost no coming back from it. That being said, like, the Greenskins were putting up a hell of a fight. I think honestly, the only moment where the Greenskins got pushed into a really bad position was when Grom the Paunch accidentally overcommitted. He just got a little bit too far, and when he got caught, the Bretonnians all of a sudden were like, oh crap, we gotta go in. Because the Brain Bursta was like MVP of the tournament. The Brain Bursters were just shredding so many of these knights, just kaboom, and a whole bunch of them would go down. Night Goblin Shaman, of course, wasn't able to do much, but that's why he has the Night Goblin Shaman and the Orc Shaman, and they're both super cheap. So one of them is probably going to be useful, the other one's probably not, honestly, in most fights. Goblins, you know, they did their job. They were there to just eat shots. The Fanatics, unfortunately, I missed the Fanatic cast. I'm sure, because Fanatics will absolutely devastate Knights if you can get it in, but it's really hard to position, especially when you're tangled in such like a sudden fight that you don't want to be in. Really, really good skirmish play. I mean, the Greenskins were killing it in the early phase. It was literally just that moment when Grom got a little too overcommitted because he got in a weird situation where he was like, the unit he was chasing was also behind him at the same time because some of those guys are slower than him. So when they turned around and charged him, the entire unit immediately went like this around him, and all of a sudden he was stuck. Fanchantress got some just insane value. Paladins were able to do a good whooping on the trolls. All the knights got really, really, really good value. Just excellent value, getting in some really awesome fights. Peasant Mob did their job. Archers did their job. But yeah, that was a super duper fun tournament. That was a ton of fun. I'm so pleased that Bretonnians came out on top. That's a really exciting development. It's very unusual, but in a good way. I'm so used to seeing, and the Greenskins getting to the finals with their build was also super pleasing. I'm super used to the finalists usually being like gun builds, like just lots of guns. So it was a really, really fun time. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves and had a pleasure watching the tournament. We will be back in 2 weeks on Wednesday the 5th of May, and that tournament will take place much earlier in the day. It will start at noon Central Standard Time because they alternate. So this tournament we do it like at noon one time, and then 2 weeks later we do it later in the evening. That way different people in different parts of the world can tune in and watch them. So I hope you all check into that. I will definitely be hitting up Alric Rawl, or Aberash in there, to hand him over his winnings. And yeah, I hope you all had a great time. Thanks so much for coming by. Really appreciate the raids. We had a couple of raids over on Twitch. Really, really appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much for the support. And thanks again to everyone who subscribed on Twitch or followed or sent super chats or whatever on YouTube. So I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful day. My voice, I can tell, is in a really bad spot, and I'm hungry, and my food got really cold, so I'm gonna have to go heat it up and shit. So I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye. Oh wait, hold on, real quick. Hold on. YouTube, goodbye. I'm gonna see if I can send Twitch chat somewhere. Bye, YouTube. Okay.